this is kind of, I guess, segue into the next section, because after obviously starting off university, you go full time, you do all that. Like both of us, and like, you know, and you originally, like, you know, started as like an independent streamer. Was that was more, I'm assuming, than just like, you know, convenience, you know, oh, I'm gonna try this out, have a small model.
Yep.
It probably wasn't, and I might be assuming here, and you can tell me if I'm wrong, your intention originally to maybe strive for becoming an idol, which was like a predominant thing even at the time when we first started. You know what I mean? Like, was there a thought in the back of your head where like, oh, like even starting off, like, oh, you like corporate, or did you always position yourself as like, oh, of course I'm going to be independent? Or has there always been that thought in the back of your head, oh, I actually don't mind the idea of joining a larger agency? Or did that come out of nowhere for you a little bit?
I think a lot of people probably auditioned for like Hololive in like 2020.
Yeah.
2021.
Did you ever think?
Yes. Yeah, I did it. I auditioned for Holo. I auditioned for.
That's
I think I
interesting.
auditioned for Niji Sanji. I think I auditioned for quite a few people, actually.
Do you think it comes from you? I know that you were definitely a fan of corporate VTuber starting off. Is that where your desire probably started with? Oh, I should try, because you respected it. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. I think I saw the people having fun playing video games, and I was like, that seems like a fun job.
Yes.
I think that would be nice. And, you know, that's, I think, something that's quite commonplace across the internet, not just necessarily in VTubing. I think a lot of people want to become YouTubers or, like, streamers or Let's Players. Like, so when VTubing happened, I think, you know, with the big explosion that it did, like, I think a lot of people were in the similar sort of mindset that I was, where it's like, oh, this seems fun. Having a job in it seems like a cool thing that you can do. And I didn't know anything about indie VTubing for like the first 6 months of me watching VTubers.
So for you, I guess your solidified admiration of the craft came from the corporate side of things.
Yeah, when I first watched VTubers, I was like, oh, this is like a Japanese company thing. Like, you have to be Japanese and in a company. Like, there's no such thing as like Westerners. Yeah, I didn't know Westerners were doing VTubing, and I didn't know like the first big sort of EN debut outside of a company that I saw was the Artemis of the Blue debut.
Oh yeah.
Because that one was like, that was pretty popular at the time. And I remember watching that and I was like, oh wait, like, you can just be like a person who's doing this from your home. You don't need to be like, I naively was like, oh, you have to be like in a studio or something to do this. For some reason I got in my head like, oh, it's like you need to be in like a company, they're going to like a studio where you record it, like the motion tracking is like some elaborate setup and it's not like just your phone. I guess like a logical progression of being a VTuber is like you start out as like an independent and then you become like a corporate VTuber. Obviously you don't have to, like you don't have to do that, but that was my sort of mindset of like, oh, like if I want to do VTubing, if you want to have a career in it, then you have to join a company.
I think that's
so
interesting to see.
Yeah, I did end up like auditioning for quite a few places. I started like eventually, you know, fast forward to 2022 and when I finally start streaming, and I got more comfortable on the mic and everything was, you know, when I was like, oh, maybe I should, like, now that I'm an indie with like a decent sized audience, maybe I could, you know, try again auditioning. It was never...
That's the interesting thing I was going to kind of ask about is, because that was kind of you auditioning pre-even debut. Then you come in indie, you start enjoying that, find some stability in that.
Yeah.
Was there a point where you're like, oh, I don't really need this? And then where did you, so for you, was it getting more comfortable, I should try again? What kind of went through your brain and wanting to try again, approaching corporate, spaces?
I think back then it was just like, oh, the auditions are open. Well, that seems like a laugh. I'll try. So I auditioned for like a bunch of things. So it was just like, oh, well, the auditions are open, so I may as well.
Yes.
Like it was never something that I was like super serious about in terms of like, I want to be an idol. I want to be on a stage in a frilly idol outfit and
Imagine
do like
Bros.
The dancing
Kino.
and the motion capture and all that jazz.
Yeah.
I've never been one for that, but I think of like it was just sort of like I don't know, it seemed fun, like the talents make it seem like a fun time. So like that could be fun to do one day. I think a lot of people in VTubing are kind of
secretly
alone.
beloved. Oh yeah.
And so I think a lot of us, I think a lot of us do kind of want to have like a community of fellow VTubers and So like being in a company does provide that, right?
Yes, that's a definitely a good point there. I was kind of wondering if there was something that specifically drew you to Phase, but it seems like across the board it was the general culture of corporate that you were intrigued with across, like, in general. Like in the end, could have you actually seen yourself joining a different group other than Phase, or did it kind of be like, no, maybe this is the one that actually is suitable for me and I actually would say yes to and want to be part of? It's like there's something about Phase that actually was appealing to you and set it apart from different kind of corporate setups.
I mean, I was a fan of Phase, and obviously,
Yes,
like
of
a lot of my
course.
early success I do owe to Phase members. Lumi was the one who I think
Love Lumi.
Lumi was the first one to raid me and shove like a lot of viewers onto me at the time. I was eating enchiladas and playing Crusader Kings 3, and then all of a sudden Lumi dropped, like, I think at that time it was 700 people into my chat, which had like, I think at the time maybe like 25 people. Yeah, I was just trying to eat enchiladas for lunch, and they were delicious. And so I was just like trying to chat to them whilst eating my lunch, and I had an appreciation for like Lumi and the other members. Like I thought they were funny. And so when the Phase Gen 3 auditions, it was Gen 3 and Invaders at the same time.
Yes.
I think by that point I had been streaming for about 6 months, and I was just like, well, why not? I may as well. It's open. I like them. I don't think I'll get in. I'll just, like, a lot of the, I don't know if any of the viewers know this, but a lot of the audition process, they tend to have very structured auditions.
Yes.
So they ask for certain things like a pre-edited video which features some of your strengths. So like singing, stream bits, gameplay, whatever sort of skills that you have, they want to see that in the debut pitch, sort of video that you have to put out that sort of pitches yourself to them, right?
Insight on the creator, yeah.
Yeah, you have to sell yourself, right?
Yes.
So a lot of those companies do ask for that. Like Hololive asks for that. A bunch of the other companies who I don't think are even here anymore were all asking for that. I didn't know how to edit videos, and I still don't really know how to edit videos.
I was like, do you still?
I use if you ever see any of like the shorts that I have to do for sponsors and
She's
stuff,
bringing out a goddamn window movie maker to make this.
You joke? I use Clipchamp, which is Windows Movie Maker in Windows 11. Yeah, I don't have like anything fancy.
No, I believe it.
I have Clipchamp, and that's what
Beautiful.
I use, and I just, that's why there's no like fancy editing with it.
Yeah.
The hardest part, it took me like half an hour once to add text.
You have Adobe Suite money. Clea, you have Adobe Suite.
I do.
That's beautiful.
But you know, it's if I can do it for free, I will.
It honestly, absolutely.
I'm a very frugal person.
Yes,
Anyway,
yes.
so yeah, like a lot of those videos ask for structured things. And also they also ask for 5 minutes maximum. For the Phase audition, I don't even remember if it was for Phase or maybe it was for something else, and then I just reused it for Phase. I basically just like made a one take, 6 minutes. Hang on. No, I would have deleted it. It's gone. Sorry. I think it's 6 minute, 27 second me rambling to the camera, talking about myself. I think I was like, oh, I started streaming like 6 months ago, and I started off small and managed to grow an audience to this size, and these are my interests, and people seem to enjoy my content, blah, 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 blah. Just talking about myself, one take. Didn't edit out like anything.
Just sent
of
it,
like
full send.
I think I probably had like ums and ahs in there, like, the nervousness of just sort of like selling yourself and talking about yourself in a positive light, which is always
the interview process.
And always an interesting thing to do.
Yes.
So I did that and uploaded that and sent it off to the Phase audition. I think there was like a Need You Sanji audition at the same time. And then I think there was a Hololive audition after that, and then I think some of the Brave Group companies as well.
You did a bunch at the same time. Yeah.
Yeah, I was just like, I mean, they're all auditioning at once. So I was like, you may as well, like, they're not going to accept, you can't get accepted if you don't apply.
Yeah, exactly.
So I was just
absolutely.
I mean, it takes me like 3 minutes to fill out the form and then put the video in, like the URL into the thing. Like, it's really not that difficult. I'll just do it. Why not? I'm probably not going to hear anything. And then it turns out I heard back from Phase. Sakana messaged me out of the blue and said, hey, thank you for auditioning, blah, 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 blah. We would like to talk to you further about this. And then I progressed through the audition phases. And then I think I got to like the final selection. And obviously they didn't go with me. But also the funny thing was that I had to do a YouTube stream.
Yeah.
You probably remember me crashing out about this.
Yeah.
So we had to do a private YouTube stream for this.
Yes.
I did not know that on YouTube, if you want to stream on YouTube, you have to apply to stream 24 hours in advance, and then it's like a manual process to be approved. So I did that the morning of the audition. Also, I had 2 hours sleep because I was nervous.
Yep. But I think you were like streaming for hours a day before as well. Like,
yeah, I did a regular stream, thinking that like, oh, I'll just stream on YouTube.
I'll
tomorrow.
yeah,
it's like I think it was like an hour. So it obviously get to the interview, and I'm like setting up the YouTube thing, only to find out that I can't actually stream on YouTube.
Yeah.
And then I panicked, being like, I can't do this. What can we do? And then they suggested that I stream it through Discord. So I'm in a Discord call with Sakana.
I remembered this, yes.
Oh, God, hang on. Who else
was the two
there?
managers, or it was like a couple managers?
It was Sakana and then 3 managers.
3 managers, that's right.
And Sakana didn't say a fucking thing, by the way. He was completely quiet, and the only person that was speaking to me in the audition was, I think it was Mumi. I think Mumi was the one who was doing all the talking and doing like, basically everything.
He was just like stone-facing you.
Yeah, so Sakana was just, I guess, watching, and then the other 2, I guess, were just like note-taking. So I was doing this via Discord. Problem with that, no audio. No audio from anything that I was talking about, so I had no BGM.
Because of the way you were trying to do it, like the OBS and everything. Oh no, that's right.
It was just my raw mic inputs, no background music, and they were just like, the way that they framed it was, and this is probably my fault for just like interpreting what they were said. They were like, hey, just treat it like a regular stream, and then also, but in that regular stream, show off your strengths, right? So if you're going to sing. And I was like, oh shit, what do I do? And so I decided to do 30 minutes of just chatting to myself, because they weren't typing in the chat. So I just yapped to myself for 30 minutes.
You were just like in the white room, padded cell, straight jacket on.
Like an absolute insane person. Literally no feedback to what I was talking about. So I
chat, is this real right now?
I can't remember what I talked about, but I think I was just talking about like interesting things that I'd found on the internet, and like funny things, and then some history facts and all that jazz, and being like, oh, isn't it interesting, blah blah blah. And then after half an hour, I booted up Europa Universalis 4 at the time.
Crazy that it went for like a half an hour too. That's a long interview process.
Yeah, it's a lot. That's just half the thing, because it was like an hour long. It was just like yap for 30 minutes and then play EU4 for 30 minutes. So I had EU4 in the background, no audio for them. And then I'm just talking to myself, and I think I loaded up Gotland Pirates, the campaign, on very hard, which is one of the most stupid campaigns that you can do in EU4. Because I had done it recently on stream and was like, oh, I'll just do that because I know what to do. It went fucking tits up instantly. Whilst I'm getting destroyed by the AI in EU4, I remember I made an admiral and I called it H2O Sakana, and his stats sucked. I remember that. And then I think I just started, because I knew it was going poorly in terms of gameplay. I was like, oh, it's kind of like, I talked about the history of pirates, because I knew a little bit, like surface level. And then I talked about like, oh, it's really interesting how like Morocco can move the map over, and like it's really interesting how Morocco once raided Iceland. And then I talked about that for a while.
And all this is to say that you did not get it.
Yeah, and then I went over time. I went over an hour. I think I got to like, I think I was just still playing EU4 at like the 65-minute mark, and then Mumi stepped in and being like, and had to interrupt and being like, you're over time. And I was like, oh, I thought you were gonna like stop me.
Yeah.
And they didn't. So I just kept going. And so awkwardly, after that, oh god, what was it? I got like a feedback from Mumi, and she was like, this was an okay attempt, but like some feedback was like, you were very nervous, you didn't time manage well. Basically, I just got like a bunch of like, imagine like I gave in my assessment and then the teacher just went red
They
X,
circled
red X,
everything,
red X,
yeah,
red X,
highlighter
red
all
X, red X.
over, yeah.
And then I got it back and I was like, oh, okay, that went well. And then I think I just like fell asleep because I think at that point I was so nervous leading up to it. I only got 2 hours sleep. So I finished the stream and then I was just like, and then I fell asleep for like 12 hours. Yeah. And then I heard back a week or 2 later and they were like, sorry, we went with someone else. And I was like, yeah, I would not pick me either. But yeah, that was fun.
But then, like months later, you heard from Sakana with the opportunity to actually join the team.
Yeah,
and that
yes.
that unraveled
That
a whole different process. And I remember from the behind the scenes, but I want to like ask you about it and get some insight for everyone here. That whole like process, because it was a different perspective and it was a different opportunity, and you kind of got to actually, because you were proposed to join, learn more about what the entire position would actually entail. Because I guess in the past you were just like throwing out interviews to these corporations because it sounds cool, sounds cool, I can do it, takes 3 minutes. You're not actually considering the pros and the cons.
Yeah, I wasn't like actually like thinking like,
will I actually get this? Yeah,
no, I was
so
I would see audition open and I would just be like, fuck it,
I'll go for it. So when you actually get the position of, this is a possibility, that's a whole different can of worms that opens up.
Yeah, the fun part about it is that on YouTube, you can see on the back ends that like when people watch your videos and how long they watch it for. So every audition process that I was submitted, I would, like a week later, I'd check the analytics of the video and I'd be like, oh, they watched it for like 5 seconds. Or, oh, they watched it for like 4 minutes. And I think the phase one is the only one that actually watched it the way through. But like, I mean, I understand why, because most of them are after specific things like pre-edited videos with a bunch of like a showcase of like your talents, right? And mine was a 6.5 minutes, 1 take yapping about myself instead of anything that they were actually after. So of course they didn't watch it, or they watched it and they were like, well, this isn't what we have to close. And it's quite funny because like, some of those plate companies aren't here anymore, or they're not doing very well, and I'm like, that's kind of funny. Not like in a spiteful way. Not in a spiteful way, but like, it's like, I mean, I not necessarily getting the last laugh.
Well, a little bit.
It is funny to see, how things turned out.
I mean, so much has evolved in the time of VTubing, even around corporate VTubing. I think you've joined Phase at a very different time than when even Phase first started. And I think even in the behind the scenes, as you were, building, your debut with Phase, even at that time, things were changing in the VTuber world. Like when you got the opportunity and the potential to become, a member of the Invaders Gen, do you remember there being at that point like reservations actually coming up? And do you remember what do you remember what were some of the thoughts that were going through your head of, is this a good option for you? And what was like weighing that experience like? It wasn't like, I have to do this instantaneously, it's the best, or was there like some hesitation?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Sakana approached me November 15th, 2023.
Yeah.
Same day I got fired. I think I had a stream and he messaged me mid-stream and I was like, what the fuck?
And then off the vibe.
Yeah, it did. And I finished the stream and then I remember replying to him.
Yeah.
And like, I was like, what is going on? So then we had like a verbal agreement fairly early on, but obviously nothing seriously was like signed until mid 2024. Anyway, this was, so that was late 2023. And then I think objectively, without like, I don't think stating any drama or pointing at anything in particular, but the first half of 2024 was kind of apocalyptic for corpo VTubing.
Things happen
in various different places and ways, and things seem to be falling out of the goddamn sky. And so all the while I was seeing all of that happen, and then I had the situation of me potentially going corpo whilst all of this stuff was happening, and I was like, oh fuck, am I making a terrible decision right now? So like all of this was happening and I was just like, oh fuck, oh shit, oh fuck. Am I joining a bad situation? Because, from what you could see from like other places was like, everything seems terrible. all these companies are collapsing or bad things are happening or massive drama is happening. I was like, oh God, is Phase okay? Yeah, I was a little concerned that like all of this was happening. And like, you know, I was just checking the news like most days, being like, oh, what's happened now? And just thinking, oh shit, I've made a terrible decision.
Well, that's the thing. Like, there's observations, but what was the thing that made you go, no, Phase is right for me? This is actually, I trust. Was it something Sakana said? Was it? What made you go like, even in all the anxiety? Because in general, moving to corporate from what was for you quite a stable, comfortable indie position, you were doing well, better than you were in academia. You had a beautiful, like, you know, supportive community that you still have. But like, what made you go, okay, despite all this and the risks and the changes, this is right for me?
Sakana is probably the reason why I ended up commit to it. Was he is very open about a lot of things. Like, I don't know how much I would be allowed to say, but
fair. Don't
when it came to talking to him, like, this is even before I signed an NDA, which is maybe a bit silly of him, but we had, I think, a series of 4 calls. Basically every call I would ask questions and he would basically tell me everything and, you know, show me data and information. And like, I was asking, like, how is the financial situation of Phase? Like, is it worthwhile me joining if like the company isn't going to just like then explode? Because, you know, obviously at the time, like, a lot of companies were just kind of going
very admirable to be open, because we were hearing a lot at the time about talents being very in the dark about a lot of that stuff.
Yeah, and so no, like I was asking him questions and he was very open and transparent about like the financial situation, plans for the company, staff situation. Like, he told me basically everything, and that definitely helped put me at ease in regards to at least Phase on this, you know, on the surface. And then what he's telling me behind the scenes is that if I joined, it doesn't seem like the company is going to go tits up anytime soon.
And that kind of reassured you to be like, no, I think this is the right call.
So it was definitely like, and, you know, obviously I had other concerns like, oh, if I join Phase, is it going to make financial sense? Because joining a company obviously comes with costs, as well as opportunities. Yeah. So, I mean,
with regards to that, what are the kind of differences you've experienced in that regard of the support from the technological, from the assistance things, from the support from the managers? Obviously there's the pro and con. You are, you know, sacrificing some amount of finances to the corporation, but has that balance been incredibly fruitful for you? And was the were the reservations valid? Do you still think it's right to be like concerned about that? And do you think you're very fortunate for it working out because of the choices you made?
You absolutely should be concerned about, you know, those sorts of things. Like, I think there's a lot of young and naive people in VTubing who see a company as like a big break, or seeing it as like a life-changing opportunity. And then, you know, for some people it is.
Yes.
But ultimately these are companies that, you know, they want to make a profit, and they want to make a profit from your work. And so you have to weigh up whether that fits your situation. And like, if you are able to be self-sufficient and do it yourself, you should just probably stay self-sufficient. And, you know, if you are able to make get success out of doing it yourself, then maybe joining a company isn't for you. And so, like, for me at least, we did have lots of talks about like financial situation. So it involved, you know, talking financially about like, how much am I making at the moment as an indie versus, you know, how much would I potentially be making if I joined Phase? You know, stuff like merch cuts, sponsorships, all sorts of, you know, various different things. It is a very serious decision that you do have to make when you join a company, in terms of like the financial situation, because obviously you need to make a living off this if you're going to do it as a main source of income. Sakana at least was definitely very transparent about. I asked him like how many girls of the company, you know, are doing it as a full-time job and are able to make it work, and he told me. He told me, and
that's really valuable.
So, you know, he was always very open about those sorts of questions that I had, because obviously it doesn't make financial sense to join a company if you are going to end up losing money.
Of course.
So
So you want
Um,
it to be the right call, and it's good that
yeah,
you
yeah, yeah,
both want to be equal on that, both you
yeah,
and of course Sakana. And then
yeah.
like you're in phase, and you've got the okay economically this is all good, but even from like a support standpoint for you,
Mm,
that's a whole different
yeah,
thing. There's a network
yeah.
there, there's reach, and there's kind of I guess some
Yeah.
prestige and stuff. How has that been different for you? Have you
Oh,
found like
huge.
it's like raised, has there been also new limitations introduced from that, as well as I guess like the benefits, or is it all just been like
Um,
this has been super valuable for you personally?
it's it's pretty much like I can't think of like any
Yeah,
limitations, to be honest.
fair.
Like joining a company does mean that you're all of a sudden your reputation and the company's reputation is now linked, right? Like what you say and do does reflect on the rest of the company, so you
Yes.
do have to maybe think about that. But in terms of like the benefits of being in a company, like for me at least, it's been amazing, right? Like you go from when as an indie and we have to do it yourself.
Yeah.
Like maybe you have a manager. I never did. I went from doing everything myself and everything basically being scuffed and low effort, to all of a sudden having access to a support network, staff support, financial support, even just emotional support of like having, I had you guys already,
Yes.
but you have people in the same situation that I was in. Like, for example, I was able to talk to Lumi a lot about like being an invader, for example.
Of course.
And Dizzy also is very willing to help and help talk about concerns, because I think both Dizzy and Lumi, I think, may be able to attest that I may have like messaged them being like, am I making the right decision? Is this a good idea?
And getting that
And they
insight from a different side
Yeah.
who'd already done it to kind of
Yeah.
see what it was like.
Yeah. And so, talking to them definitely helped with alleviating those fears.
Okay, interesting question. And I'd be crazy to me if this has ever happened to you, and maybe it hasn't entirely. Cleo, have you yet to encounter the you can't do that conversation? I know some other people in your gen might have been given a snap on the wrist about about certain things, but have you
No.
yet to? No, you're good goody two shoes. No managers have stepped in and been Cleo, we need at least only 5 hours of streams. You can't keep doing 13.
No, I haven't had management like
Yeah.
step in at all to say like
Yeah.
what I can and can't do.
Yeah.
Like the only things that has happened is I've pitched things and management has been, yeah, that's fine. Like the fantasy football stuff, I was just like,
Brilliant.
I think this would be cool. And then management was like, yeah, this is cool. And so they were just like, sure, go for it, set it up. And then I set it up, and then I was like, oh, we should have prizes for the people who come first, second, third. And they were like, sure, we'll give them prizes.
That's awesome. That's good you've encountered that. I mean, I was gonna say, like, is that a misunderstanding? Like, what would you say is the biggest misunderstanding from like you being in the corporate and then being independent, that people instantly assume you're like, oh, that's not a thing. People assume that's gonna happen to you, and that just straight up does not happen when you're corporate. Was that one of the big ones, or is there more as well that you can point to?
I think maybe a lot of people think that like content will change or personality will change.
Okay,
or
yeah.
I think a lot of people maybe assume in certain, like when it comes to corporations and VTubing, that like a lot of them are quite strict. My situation isn't exactly the same as like maybe the average company situation, where I came in as a pre-existing IP. I get to be myself still,
Yes.
regardless of. So I didn't need to reinvent myself, which is obviously something that in certain other companies you would have to do, right? And then maybe in certain other companies they have more strict rules and sort of how you need to act on stream, or how you need to portray yourself, or like some sort of ethic or sort of standard that you need to hold yourself to, that as a result puts like a bit of a muzzle or a leash on the talent and what they say, right? Some companies allow talents to be more free than others.
Yes.
With regards to phase, no, I haven't had anything really, any restrictive things
Great.
at all. Like
And
I've pitched things, I've asked for things, and
Yeah.
they've been very helpful.
I mean, like, even for you, from your tip, okay, let's go a little behind the scenes then. Because on
Yeah.
the surface, stream-wise, you can do whatever you want.
Yeah.
How has the behind the scenes changed for you? Is it just
It's
genuinely
weird.
busy? Is that where the
It's-
is that where the real change has happened for you? Is it behind the scenes, working with the team and managers and stuff?
Yeah, it's definitely weirder than being like an indie. Like
Okay,
going from
yeah.
an indie and having like, well, I had you guys as friends,
Of course,
but
yeah.
like pretty much all of my decisions was me by myself. Like if I got sponsorship offers, they were via my email, and then I had to do the whole arranging thing, and then like bartering and negotiating for sponsors. So like all of that was it's very time consuming, and I
Yeah.
ended up just like not really putting a lot of effort into a lot of the things that I think the average VTuber does spend time with, stuff like schedules and art assets and various different things.
I wouldn't know
I
anything
ended
about
up,
spending time on those. Me personally, no.
yeah. I was very much just like my mentality when it came to streaming
Yeah.
was like, if I want to get my name out there, the best place to do that is live
By
on
just
stream,
streaming. Yeah.
and
yeah.
that everything else is probably not going to be as worthwhile as simply being live. So I didn't really bother with most of those things, but now being in a I had a fuck it we ball mentality. But like when it comes to being in a company, like that does, I will admit, change. But I still
course.
kind of have the ability to just be like, I'll go live whenever. I mean, Temma does that. Temma's just like, I'm gonna gorilla right now, and then she does that.
That's exactly what I was wondering actually next. Is I'm just gonna go live. Do you have like any kind of in the underground? But the question is which station? Like you could probably, if you lived in the UK, Clio right now is like she's like locking in, she's like enhance. Oh bloody walk down them there tunnels, you know, like